So if you liked this film, Alien Covenant, you may want to smash that dislike button right about now, because unfortunately I did not. There are a few films that have made me leave the cinema wanting to put a gun in my mouth at how utterly depressing it was, but this is certainly one of them. Spoilers ahead, by the way. This is a sequel to Prometheus, set 10 years after that movie. I don't remember many of the characters' names in this film because they were so one-dimensional and I wasn't made to care for any of them whatsoever. The only names I do remember are David and Walter, the two synthetics played by Michael Fassbender. So in this film, a ship called the Covenant, carrying 2,000 colonists and a bunch of embryos and some crew, gets damaged in space by a solar event. The ship is en route to a planet where they'll build a new human colony, but they were supposed to sleep for another 7 years of suspended animation in order to get there. The crew wakes up to find that their captain is killed. Long story short, they receive a message from a nearby Earth-like planet. The newly appointed second-in-command and all-round generally nervous guy takes over as captain and decides to take them there. It all seems a tad convenient at this point. They land on this planet, and some of the crew get infected by a kind of alien pollen-type virus thingy that enters their bodies. As you might expect, aliens start bursting out of chests before too long, and the crew is attacked, losing several people. But then David shows up from Prometheus. He's been living on the planet for a few years now. He takes them to a nearby abandoned alien city. He has a series of conversations with his synthetic counterpart Walter from the Covenant, and it becomes fairly obvious after about 2 minutes of talking to David that he is indeed the villain of this movie. David's been breeding alien hybrids and headcrabs for a while and is eager to test them out on this new crew. A bunch more people die, some of the crew escape. David battles Walter on the surface. A very, very, very obvious and predictable twist takes place in which David swaps places with Walter and returns to the Covenant, a la Data lore from Star Trek The Next Generation. Yes, I've seen this kind of twist many times before in science fiction. There's the standard battle with the one remaining alien on the ship, and then David puts the remaining crew members into stasis. They then resume their course for the new colony planet, and he introduces alien embryos into the cryo chamber because he's cunty like that. The film ends. So, let me clarify once again, and tell me if this sounds original to you. A group of astronauts land on a planet. One by one, they get picked off and or infected in the most graphic and grotesque ways possible by aliens. And only one or two people survive at the end of the movie, and some alien DNA manages to hitch a ride on their spaceship so as to leave the story open for another sequel. So in other words, Alien Covenant is the most templatey template of an alien film of all the cocktail napkin brainstorming sessions a hack Hollywood writer could come up with. My biggest issue with the Alien franchise is that it's been downhill since Aliens. That was the last really good one. The rest are simply cashing in on that one past glory and producing derivative stories that follow the same basic structure. There's been nothing truly original to the format since that film. And what made that film unique was that the formula had never been done in that particular way before. It was a kind of trailblazer. Also, another pet peeve I have with these kind of films is how the aliens always seem to have an arbitrarily unfair advantage over the protagonists. In every movie, the good guys suffer a forced handicap by the filmmakers of having these really shitty defenses. So they have all these incredible spaceships and technologies, but their weapons are a joke. This movie is no different. The guns they use are totally insufficient. There are American subscribers of mine who probably have better guns than the crew of this spaceship. Each shot fires off a pitiful few rounds in the most hopeless sounding gunshot ever. That's about it. It's really depressing. Like, that's going to do anything. No one has a weapon of any significant power. As a franchise, Aliens has basically two gears: tense and gruesome horror. There's nothing else. Without any heart or sentiment, without any deeper meaning or human story to it, I found this film to be nothing more than 2 hours of watching people getting tortured and violently butchered. There's no humor to break the tension, no character moments to make you bond or care for the characters. There's no heroism to speak of. There's no one to root for. You don't care for the characters in this film. They're there entirely to function at the mercy of the filmmaker's sick desire to see them suffer and die horribly in a very paint-by-numbers fashion. Honestly, I don't want to jump on my soapbox here, but what does it say about some people that they take great pains with their stories and visual effects as to produce something so depraved and sadistic as these kinds of films. It's like watching Mengele work for 2 hours. I see no real appeal here. I was just disgusted with myself for going to see it. There was some potential to tell a story about humanity and to explore some deeper questions about survival, God, and the mysteries of creation. And David certainly made a few overtures in that direction, and the religious captain could have played a role in fleshing some of those concepts out a little bit more. Too bad he got horribly killed before the filmmakers could add any kind of meaning into the script. What is the point of going to see these films when you know that you can predict the entire narrative thread before it happens? So you see a new character for the first time and you're thinking, I wonder when he or she will have a space jockey forcing its way down their neck or an alien bursting out of their chest. I wonder which two characters out of these 15 to 20 crew members will survive for that final stock standard showdown with that one remaining alien that they have to try to suck out of an airlock at the end of the film. Why do we need more of these films? Trust me, you've already seen this film before in effectively all of the previous iterations in the franchise. The only difference is that the special effects are getting better. The stories, not so much. The final score for Alien Covenant is fucking bollocks out of 10.